we have the upcoming election in November. And I met this lady a couple weeks ago at a cookout. Yes, we still have neighborhood cookouts where I live, and got to know her. She's a libertarian wholeheartedly. She was actually talking about all these issues at the table, and I was kind of shutting up because I usually don't bring that stuff up. And she was just going on about freedom and Constitution and the NDAA, and I'm like, wow, I've never heard anybody talk about the NDAA at a dinner party, essentially. So I started talking to her. She's like, yeah, I'm actually running for Congress. And her name's Betsy Dewey, and she's running in District 25, which is right outside of Austin. And it's the former district of Lloyd Doggett. And he decided when they started changing up all these districts, they started gerrymandering everything. If you don't know what gerrymandering is, go look it up. It's basically where they turn a district into what looks like a giant monster in order to secure the most votes for whatever they want. If they want it to be Republican, they gear it towards Republican type areas. If they want it to be Democrat, they gear it towards that. But Betsy Dewey is breaking through with the third wall, trying to make it in as a libertarian. So we now turn to Libertarian candidate for U.S. District 25 in Texas, Betsy Dewey. How are you doing, Betsy?
Great. Thank you so much, Rob.
It's great to have you on. I'm excited to see basically an empowered mother of two going out there and ready to take on the system, because I think that's what we need. We need regular people who aren't lawyers, who aren't multimillionaires, going out there and at least speaking for the regular people. So what got you started in wanting to be a U.S. representative?
Well, it's very simple. It was when the NDAA was passed on New Year's Eve of 2011, with the sections included, the sections 1021 and 1022, which go directly in the face of our Bill of Rights, of our rights as citizens of this country. You have the right to a fair trial, period. And I've been watching our rights just get stripped slowly away. And, I'm old enough now to where I'm willing to go out there and make sure that I'll do whatever I can to maintain liberty and maintain our Constitution for my children and hopefully for my grandchildren and for many generations to come.
Well, that's good. The NDAA is really what got under my nerves, too, especially that Obama signed it on New Year's Eve, kind of under the cloak of darkness when everybody else was out partying. He's out taking away our rights more and more.
Well, and what struck me was that every single person who represents me in Washington, my congressman, my senators, and my president, all voted for this. And it had been brought to their attention well in advance that these two sections could be interpreted to mean that Americans could be detained indefinitely without a trial. And I've read those sections over and over, and what's so horrible is that they are interpretable. Legislation should be understandable to your average 18-year-old voter. It shouldn't take a lawyer to understand what our laws are. And, it just irritates me so badly when I hear about 900-page documents of a law being placed on our lawmakers' desks 2 hours before they're supposed to vote on it. That's not even sane. So
exactly, and then sometimes they're thousands of pages. They barely have any time to look at it. I think Pelosi, and I think you saw this on your website, we'll know what's in the bill once we vote for it. She famously said over.
We can see what's in it, right?
Right, exactly. And I mean, it's just these people don't have our interest in heart. They're insider trading over and over again. They think they're above the law to do this. So it's good to see somebody with some integrity who's already speaking out. You've already, you're an author. You've written a book. Tell us a little bit about your book.
My book is for the 99% of women who give birth in the hospital. I had 2 home births, and they were 2 of the most spectacular days of my life. And aside from the home birth, all of the information that I got from my midwives was just the most incredible information. And I realized that I wouldn't be getting this from a doctor. And so I wrote it in a form of a book. It's easy to read. You can get it on Amazon. It's called Birthright. And it is everything that I learned from my midwives about everything from how to give birth naturally a little bit easier. They give you all these tips, cloth diapers, vaccinations, whether or not to circumcise, all these questions that come up that if you don't if nobody's informed you about them, you don't know. So that's what my book is about. It's about empowered pregnancy and birth.
There you go. And also about rugged individualism, people who aren't depending on the system to solve every need that they have. And that's one thing I liked about your platform. You want to cut government spending by 50%. You know, you want to do a lot of things. Why don't you go into your platform a little bit?
Well, mainly two main things is definitely cutting spending, and we can talk about that. But then the other one is bringing our Constitution back. To me, that document is the most powerful document that's ever been written in the world. I've pored over it. I've read it. I think every single person should go Google the Bill of Rights and read it. It's only a page long. It's the first 10 amendments that 2 states would not agree to the Constitution until we knew that we had rights as well as a platform for electing officials and what states' rights were and all that. Those 10 amendments are so powerful. They give us the rights that we have. And right now, if I'm counting right, about 5 of them have been rendered impotent. They're not your right to be free from unwarranted search and seizure. You've given that up when you step into an airport. Of course, if they're, this wiretapping that's unwarranted. Drone strikes, that doesn't come across as very constitutional to me.
Or how about secret presidential kill lists, where they've so far killed at least 2 of U.S. citizens without trial, without even notifying them of any charges? Just boom, death from above. I mean, this isn't the type of government we want.
No, our founding fathers would take those guys out. I mean, this country represents freedom, or at least it did at one point. And there's, we're supposed to have freedom of speech, period. And nobody should be making excuses for our freedom of speech. People say all kinds of stupid stuff. You don't have to listen to it. You choose to be offended. So our freedom of speech, our freedom of the press. What happened? When I was a kid, Walter Cronkite gave the news, and it wasn't an agenda for a party. If you look at the news, the TV news, it's all an agenda for either the Democrats or the Republicans. It's not news. And I know journalists take an oath, kind of like our representatives in Washington do. And their oath is to not be biased and to bring us what's going on. And that's not happening. I don't see that happening. I see it a little bit. I see it with INFOWARS, and I appreciate you guys a lot.
Well, that's good, because we're out there trying to fight the fight that nobody, at least the minority of us, the freedom lovers out there, really want to fight. It seems like we're up against a lot of sheep, a lot of people who want to claim, you're conspiracy theorists, because we actually look at both sides of the issue instead of just, taking for granted what the mainstream media says, for instance. But, what I really want to go into, this district, 25, it used to be Lloyd Doggett's pet district out in kind of parts of Austin and then the outlying areas. Austin's a heavily Democrat town. Now they've rearranged the districts. And so what's happening in District 25? And so it's kind of an open race, pretty much. There's no incumbent here to be able to just sit down and sit on a cinder block and say, this is my district.
That's correct. Austin, it doesn't make sense to me that you would chop a city up into 3 pieces and then stick big rural chunks onto those pieces in order to devalue their vote. Austin is a liberal town, but did you know that Austin is the most libertarian city in the country? I've heard that Greater Austin donated more to Ron Paul's campaign than the entire Live Free or Die state of New Hampshire. So it is very liberal, but part of libertarianism is liberal in that we're socially liberal. We don't think we have the right to tell anybody what to do with their body or with their possessions as long as they're not infringing upon the rights of anyone else. So it doesn't surprise me that that libertarianism and liberalism are healthy in Austin, but they've chopped it up into 3 pieces. And my district does include the University of Texas, part of West Austin, and a little bit of East Austin. There's kind of a finger that runs through Austin, and then it runs from south down in San Marcos, over through Dripping Springs and Johnson. I don't know if it goes as far as, I think Johnson City.
Yeah, we have the map up now, and it doesn't look like it goes all the way to Johnson City, but Lockhart, Gonzales, a lot of Interstate 10.
It goes all the way up to like through the Lake District, through Marble Falls, Lakeway on the west, and ends up just south of Fort Worth. So it's a long, skinny district.
And it's a fairly big district. These are a lot of different population centers in the area. How is your campaign going? Are people receptive to the libertarian message of freedom and prosperity?
Well, everybody I talk to is. I think everybody's libertarian and doesn't know it. I've been doing a lot of educating about what libertarianism is, because it's the direct philosophical descendant of what our founding fathers were. We are the direct philosophical descendants of our founding fathers. It's simply, we were breaking free from a tyrannical government, and it seems like that's what we need to do again. So people are very receptive to it if they're willing to get out of their box. And the Libertarian Party has something called Project Politically Homeless. You might see a table down on South Congress or something. And it's for people who don't feel like they fit in with the Republican or Democratic Party. And they wonder what they are. And then they realize, oh, I'm a libertarian. So it's amazing, the response that my campaign has had.
That's good. And in reality, there are a lot of different people with a lot of different ideas of how things should be run. And we've been pigeonholed through, the media and just society in general, saying you got to be Republican or Democrat. It's the only thing there is. And that's all I was told as I was growing up. And I remember when I started listening to Harry Brown, I said, I'm a libertarian. That's it. And I don't agree with everything they want to do, but I definitely lean more to freedom and prosperity than I do to more wars and more taxes. I mean, that's just it. And you got the war party and the tax party, and then they both like wars and they both like taxes. So
yeah, they really do end up seeming very, very similar when it comes down to it. Yeah.
So talk about your opponent. You're going up against a Republican named Roger Williams. He doesn't even live in your district. And how's this work? How's this carpetbaggery work?
Well, it's actually constitutional, so I'm all for it. When our Constitution was written, the guys who were writing it did not agree on everything. They had to compromise in big ways in order to make this Constitution work. And when you read it, you don't agree with everything either, but that doesn't mean that we don't stand by it because we agree with it. So, Constitution, Article 1, Section 2, which describes who can be a congressperson, you simply have to live in your state to represent any district in your state. So he's well within the constitutional bounds to be doing what he's doing. He's chosen a Republican district because he wants to win, and he made a good political move.
Mm-hmm. Well, I guess maybe I'll just go run up, go to the Panhandle and tell those people how to live their lives, because I'm here in Austin and I know everything.
Right.
I think that's ridiculous, but okay, it is in the Constitution. I guess they were thinking of that for a reason. I tell you what, we're running out of time here. We've had a long show covering a lot of different issues. What most do you want to say to the people out there? Let me give you 3 minutes to just talk to the voters and really kind of crystallize your message, because I would like to see a libertarian win. I'd like to start seeing libertarians winning House districts, and so we could actually start changing the balance of power in this country. So, Betsy Dewey, going for U.S. House District 25, go for it.
Well, I'm thinking about what our children and our grandchildren are going to inherit. And it is mathematically impossible to be borrowing 43 cents of every dollar we dole out. We've become this, I don't even know why China would be continuing to lend us money. We've been downgraded again. We keep printing more money. The liberal media doesn't really talk about it. I mean, why would they? So when you go to the grocery store and you notice that your favorite item is now crazily expensive, it's not because it's necessarily, your dollars are worth so much less. When you go and get your paycheck seems like it's not going to get you enough gas to get to work anymore because your dollars aren't worth as much. Every dollar that's printed and put out into our system makes every dollar you have worth less. And this keeps happening. And it's inflation, it's spending. The Republican Party doesn't really talk about ending the wars. And that's our most expensive item, our most expensive ticket. And then it's, you know, like the idea of welfare. Americans are very big-hearted people and very charitable people. The wealthiest of our nation give so much to our communities, and they'll always do that. That's part of our American spirit. I believe that. And when you tax people too much, because even if we didn't tax people, even if we took taxes away, which is a libertarian philosophy that taxes are actually theft and that they're not constitutional. Well, they are, because we've given Congress the ability to tax. But the idea of taxing like a socialist country to the tune of 50% or something just isn't what. That's not freedom. That's slavery, actually. Right now, most people are working 3 to 4 to 5 months a year as a slave because that money goes directly to the government. So what are we looking at handing our children? A completely busted economy, which isn't going to be pretty for anybody. And Americans need to stand up for themselves and for each other on an individual level. We don't need to be looking to the government to hold our hand. That's slavery too. When somebody keeps lending you money or giving you money, they own you. And I'm fiercely independent. I don't want to take a dollar from anybody. So I'd find a way to make a dollar. I'd go play my fiddle on the street corner if I had to. So I'm so disgusted with the treatment of our Constitution and of our Bill of Rights. Once again, go read the Bill of Rights. You'll be doing yourself a huge favor. And I'm not just going to stand by and watch it happen. So that's why I'm running. And I hope that message resonates with all Americans, but particularly those in District 25 in Texas.
There you go. Well, you know, I'm not sure if I'm in District 25 at this point, but I am in South Austin, so I might be. And if I am, you definitely have my vote because, you know, I like the fact that you're not a politician, you're not a lawyer, you're not coming from this upper-class privileged background. You have a real good head on your shoulders, and, you know, you've got your eye on a lot of issues. We didn't even cover them all. You know, we were talking about FEMA camps the other night. You know, you've really understand what's going on in this country and how the paradigm is shifting. And if we have more people out there getting into politics for those reasons and not just for selfish reasons so they can make more money off the backs of Americans, we would have a better country. So I salute you for taking that stand and going out there and working for the people. So
thank you. Thank you for what you guys are doing.
All right. Well, there you go. That was Betsy Dewey, House District 25 in Texas. She's running, it'll be this election cycle. She's a libertarian. You know, if you haven't gone and seen what her platform is, you can go check it out at votebetsy.com. And it'll take you to, she's got other websites out there, and you can go to her Twitter account, you can look at her Facebook, plenty of ways to keep in touch with her, get some signs, go out there, maybe volunteer for her if you're in her district. And let's see if we could take this district that used to be Lloyd Doggett's and heavily, you know, staunch Democrat. Let's change that. Let's go ahead and put a libertarian in and see what happens, especially, you know, a libertarian mother of two who's very strong, and she knows the issues. I've had a good talk with her a couple weeks ago, and she definitely understands what is going on in this country. She's not blind to these issues, and she's not interested in special interests. She's interested in her kids, and that's at the bottom line, that's what we should all be interested in. Earlier tonight, we talked about how, you know, these maniacal green eugenicists are teaching our kids over and over again that it's wrong to be human, that it's wrong to have technology, that it's wrong to be successful. And we have to combat that with truth and love, and that's how we're going to change this thing. And we're not going to stop until we win. And with that, that's our show tonight. I'm Rob Dew. We'll see you next Monday, and we're going to have many more shows. Please consider becoming a member of prisonplanet.tv. And thank you for all your support. If you haven't supported us, please do. You get a 15-day free trial, plus one passcode is good for up to 6 computers. So you can give it up to 6 friends. You guys can all get on, watch the nightly news, watch Alex's show, watch the rants, the special reports. It's a great resource. Make use of it while we still have the internet. Big Sis is already looking at creating an executive order where they can take over the web at any time. Their little cybersecurity bill, which is basically doing the bidding of the giant corporations. So with that, become a member of Prison Planet TV and use your net before you lose it. Thank you.